Hi, everybody. Welcome again to, what is this program?
Enjoy English.
Of course. Enjoy English. So we hope you will enjoy our teaching in English.
Of course.
And the topic is destinations.
Yeah, 我们又要去旅行了，各位。
Right. And this particular lesson is entitled Travel Back in Time with City Hall Station.
我们要讲的是纽约哦。好，我们要进去到纽约的 City Hall Station， 也就是纽约的市政府的地铁站。我们要跟着它去旅行咯。
Right. And I can add some information because I grew up in New York State, but not in New York City. However, when we were young, especially as teenagers or young adults, if we had any time free at all, we would go to the city.
Of course.
And what fun it was.
That is a shopping heaven.
Okay, so we'll have to travel back in time. As she said, City Hall Station was the first station built in the subway station system. But it wasn't the first city in America to have a subway system. What was?
I don't know.
Boston.
波士顿才是第一个有地铁的地方哦。
And of course, London was the first in the whole world.
伦敦是全世界第一个。
Subway facts. Okay. Are we ready to begin the first paragraph?
好的，我们接下来看一下这个纽约市的地铁首站的这个故事咯。
New York City is famously known as the city that never sleeps. That's true. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't advise that you go out at that hour unless you know where you're going. But the cars and taxis, the subway system is still working. Around the clock, it seems that this city cannot stop moving.
对，所以呢，这边一开始就讲了，这个纽约市呢，它呢 famously known， 用这个副词修饰这个 known 这样的一个形容词，就是呢，它非常的著名、知名的，被人家称之为怎么样 as， 就是以什么样的身份而著名。它是一个不夜城，似乎呢，好像永远都不用睡觉一样。
This title is particularly true for its subway system because it operates around the clock. You have to picture a clock with hands. Today, most of your watches and clocks use numbers, digital numbers.
Yeah.
But in the good old days, we had the face of the clock, and in the middle was a circle. We would call that the nose. And the two hands that moved around the circle in the middle of the face of the clock.
所以老师刚刚在解释这个时钟呢，现在的话是 digital 的，现在是有数字的。那以前的话呢，就是你为什么叫 around the clock？ 因为它那个时针跟分针这样的绕着它走，好，所以呢才叫做 around the clock。所以 around the clock 的意思呢，就是指这个24小时，好，就是没有停歇的 all day, all night， 好，都是这样子走的。所以为什么它会有这样的不夜城的这样子的著名的一个称谓呢？主要呢就是因为 particularly 就是尤其呢是特别的贴切 true 就是真的对于它的这个纽约的地下铁的这一个系统，因为它确实营运的方式就是24小时全天候营运。
This iconic network of underground trains all started with City Hall Station in Lower Manhattan. You'll have to take out a map of New York City one day, and I think you'll be surprised. Almost everything you've ever heard of about New York City is on the island of Manhattan. In fact, there's only one of the 5, they call them boroughs. We would call them districts.
Okay.
There's only one of the 5 New York City districts that is part of the mainland, and that happens to be New York State. But Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island, it's already in its name, and Queens, the other 4 boroughs, are all islands or on islands. Only the Bronx is on New York State's, the main body of New York State.
好，所以刚刚老师解释这个纽约呢，它其实分成5个不同的行政区，所以有 Queens 皇后区，还有其他这些区，那只有一个 Bronx 它是比较偏在 New York State 的这一个地区的。好，所以他这边就讲说呢，它是一种 iconic， 所谓的 iconic 这个意思就是说标志性，你眼睛一下就看得到的，好，这样的一种 network， 它这个地下的这个网路系统，因为它是 underground， 它是在地下的这种地下铁，所以它的地铁的网路呢，就是开始于这一个 City Hall Station， 就是它的市政府站，那主要是在 Manhattan 的下城这个地方。
Right, which would be the southern part of the island of Manhattan, which is shaped something like a football, the American football. And at a lot of the interesting places that you hear about, Radio City and the zoo there, many of the entertainment famous names are in lower Manhattan, which means southern Manhattan.
在比较南端的地方。
The station was designed by 2 famous architects, George Heinz and Christopher Lafarge. An architect is a kind of engineer and artist who thinks about how to design things that people will use, especially in cities.
好，所以呢，这个它的这个就是刚刚我们讲的地下铁的这个站呢，它主要呢是被谁来设计的呢？是有2个非常著名的建筑师。那刚才老师讲了 architects， 也可以是 engineer 跟 artist， 他也是工程师，也是艺术家。这2位呢先生呢，一个叫做乔治海因斯，另外一个是克里斯托弗拉法基，这2个人所设计的。
These 2 gentlemen, added elegant features like tile ceilings, chandeliers, and glass skylights to their design. They were ahead of their time, as we say, these artists and engineers. They thought about what is the future going to look like, and will this building still be around 100 years from now? In fact, the building just had its 100th birthday not long ago. And you really should go there, even if you don't intend to take a subway car ride. It is, you've seen it in some movies. A lot of movies show you this particular station because it's so elegant. 100 years ago, design, I think, was more of an art. Today, its design belongs more to engineering. So today they want to be efficient.And in the past, they were more interested in being beautiful.
没错，所以老师讲了，到现在呢，这个对于我们来说，这个地铁呢，大家是希望达到 efficient 有效率的。那以前的话就是希望它很漂亮。所以呢，这2个建筑师呢，就在这样子的一个地铁站里面呢，他们就添加上了 elegant， 就是他们觉得哇，非常优美的 graceful， 非常漂亮的一些 features 的一些特色。这些特色比如说呢，第一个，它的这一个天花板都是瓷砖的 tile， 就是瓷砖的天花板。然后第二个呢，这个是个法文字啦，就是讲的是这种枝形的吊灯。好，那这个吊灯呢，就是原本就是吊在天花板上面的那种吊灯。以前的话可能是用蜡烛，现在的话大概就是那种水晶的这种吊灯。还有呢，第3个就是玻璃的 skylights。什么叫 skylights 呢？就是可以看到天空的这种天窗。好，然后把它 add to， 所以是把这些东西加到他们的设计里面。所以你现在到了这一个 City Hall Station， 你就可以看到这些漂亮的这个景色。
Okay, we'll take a short break and then tell you more about this very special building.
好的。
Okay, we are back, but we're still in New York with the subway station. When the subway station made its grand opening in 1904, many people praised it as an amazing piece of engineering. Now, I just mentioned that most of engineering was concentrated on the efficiency of things, how they worked in modern times. How well does it work? We don't really care what it looks like so much. It was just the opposite before, 100 years ago. Most of the buildings, New York has some really beautiful buildings, even on the outside, like the Chrysler building that has the monsters, the big stone monsters around it.
There are a lot of skyscrapers there.
Yeah. And it was more about the design. And so for a building also to have engineering treats to it, this was new at that time, like skylights, for example. You didn't need to have artificial lighting all the time. In the daytime, the sun came in, so that was enough. And there were other engineering talents that these two gentlemen had, and they put them into the building, and there had been nothing like it before. So it was an instant hit.
好，所以刚刚老师讲的像一个 instant hit， 就好像直觉上了，嘿，这个就创造出来这样的一个东西了。他是说呢，我们刚刚在讨论就是说New York 还有很多除了这个之外还有很多其他漂亮的这一些 buildings。然后呢，现在我们讲的是这个 subway station。它一开始呢，这个地铁站呢是在1904年，那么 made 就做出它的这样子的一个 grand 就是指这个东西非常的盛大，非常的 impressive。Splendid, OK, S-P-L-E-N-D-I-D 的 opening 就是开幕，所以它1904年就盛大开幕。那当时呢，就很多的人 praise 就是称赞说，这样子的一种这个工程呢，实在是让人家觉得 amazing， 觉得让人家令人惊叹的一种工程。
Huge crowds gathered to take the first trains to leave from the station. These subway systems were just getting started. Only Boston, Philadelphia, and New York had subway stations for maybe the first 10 or 20 years of the last century. And then Chicago, and then Dallas, and now I don't know how many there are. There are probably 50 or 60. But the first ones usually attract a lot of people.
没错，所以呢，第一个当然1904年这么盛大的开幕，而且又是第一个，所以当时呢，当然就吸引了许许多多的这个群众，所以大批的群众呢，大家就聚集在一起，记得要用过去式，因为我们讲的是1904年，所以 gathered， 所以聚集在那边呢，大家就是希望可以搭上第一班的 first trains， 然后就可以 leave， 可以开往，好，离开这一个站的第一班这个列车。
Well, it was true then, it's true now. The new underground train system enabled people to quickly travel across the overcrowded city. In Taipei, a lot of my foreign friends here remark that before our subway system in Taipei was built, it was so much trouble.
Yeah.
If they lived in Tianmu, Shilin, and maybe they had friends in the southern part of the city, or once you cross the river and you get into Santong or Banqiao and so on, you had to take 2 or 3 different bus lines. Half the day was spent on buses.
所以你看我们这么小的一个地方就要花2-3个小时才能从桥的这一端到那一端，更何况是 New York 这么大的地方。 OK， 所以这个新的地铁系统呢，确实 enable people， 就 enable somebody to do something， 使得人们能够怎么样，我们用 enable 可以使得人们呢很快速的就可以这样子的在城市里面快速穿梭，尤其是在纽约这种 overcrowded过度拥挤不堪的一个城市。
And that can be proved by, if you study cities and how they're built and how they develop, New York City is so much more crowded than any other city in the United States.
Wow.
Many times. It's many movies show you life in New York or street life. People basically living on the streets, and it's shopping until 10, 11 p.m. There's movies all night. There's just people out all the time.
对，所以刚才 Bruce 老师就是讲说，纽约就是全美国最拥挤的一个城市了。
It also reduced the need. It here refers to the new subway system. It reduced the need for elevated trains, which caused many problems, including noise concerns. Now, Chicago is still famous for what they call the L, 大写的 L, but L is for elevated. And they're trains that are above the street level. But you can imagine if there's an accident and you are 20, 30 meters above, that wasn't good. They were very polluting, very noisy. And eventually in New York, they were phased out. That means they were replaced by the new system that was underground. If you phase something out, you slowly no longer use it. P-H-A-S-E, 然后加 out, two words. P-H-A-S-E-O-U-T, phase out.
所以刚刚老师补充了这个 phase out 的意思，就是说你逐渐的、慢慢的已经不再去使用这个东西了。所以他这边有讲的 it 就是指刚才讲的 the new underground train system 这个东西呢，这个新的地铁系统呢，它同时呢也可以减少reduce 就是减少什么东西呢 the need for elevated trains 所谓的 elevated trains 就是它这个 elevate 就是有点抬高起来的意思，所以就是这种高架铁路。那这些高架铁路呢，它本身呢就会造成很多的 problems， 包含第一个像刚才老师有讲 pollution， 然后再来就是有 noise concerns， 就是有很多噪音的问题。
Also safety.
第三个就是比较安全。
It also reduced the need for elevated trains. That refers, of course, to the now old but originally brand new subway station. And now I guess it's time to take a short break.
Okay.
Okay, today, City Hall Station is no longer used for passenger service. It got too crowded.
因为老师说实在太拥挤了，所以今天呢，这些市政府地铁站已经不再 no longer not used for 已经不再使用这个所谓的这个乘客服务了。
Now it's like a museum.
已经变 museum 了。
The beautiful old station has been preserved. That means it's been kept and kept up well and turned into a historic city landmark. A good word to learn. Landmark, in Taipei, we have 101. When you see that, oh, Taipei.
好，所以他就说了这个美丽呢，但是却有点老旧的车站，现在已经把它 preserved， 就把它保存起来了，而且呢，已经把它变成了一个历史悠久的一个城市的 landmark， 就是我们讲的这种地标。所以如果以台北来讲，就是 Taipei 101。
So if you see Big Ben and the Parliament, you know you're in London. Okay, visitors can either tour the station on their own. They let you walk around as you would like, or go on a guided tour through the New York Transit Museum, which will give you factual information and things that very few people realize or know about.
所以这边看到的 either or 就是一个对等连接词了，要不是就做前面的这件事，或者做后面的这件事。所以他就说了，如果到那边参观的游客呢，你可以选择第一个，你可以 tour the station， 就是你自己呢去到处的游览一下这一个站，自己靠自己 on their own 就是自己，或者是呢你可以直接呢他那边有所谓的这个 guided tour， 就是有那种导览，你可以要求人家呢去帮你做导览，记得他的片语用 go on a tour.
If you have the chance to visit New York City, make sure to explore City Hall Station and appreciate its beauty with your own eyes.
好，所以最后一句就是说呢，如果你真的有机会呢，到这个纽约去参访的时候呢，你一定要 make sure to， 你一定务必要确定一件事情，就是你可以 explore， 你可以好好的探索这一个市政府的地铁站，并且呢 appreciate 去欣赏它的美丽，用 with 用你的自己的眼睛来欣赏它。
Okay, that's it for today's lesson. Join us anytime. We're here for you all the time. Till the next time, bye-bye.